How does a major trucking company just vanish? One day it's there, the next it's gone, leaving drivers stranded, employees without a job, and a massive trail of chaos. Well, today we're going to dig into the sudden collapse of the R&R family of companies and figure out how a $65 million operation drove right off a financial cliff. It all really starts with this one staggering number: $65 million. According to court filings from its main lender, Huntington National Bank, this is what R&R allegedly owed in unpaid bills when the whole thing imploded. I mean, that is a massive, massive hole, and it really explains why everything fell apart so fast.
So, what actually went down? Well, in early January of 2026, the Pittsburgh-based R&R Family of Companies, along with all its different trucking and brokerage arms, they just stopped. Freightways reported that operations just ceased, completely out of the blue. Fuel cards were cut off, drivers were stranded, and over 1,000 workers and contractors were left without a job, literally overnight.
But, a disaster like this doesn't just happen overnight. Looking at the timeline, it was really more of a slow-motion crash. It started back in 2023, when R&R made some acquisitions, like Load to Ride, that former employees called terrible. They allegedly got stuck with a bunch of junk equipment that just drained their cash. Fast forward to November 2025, they hire a turnaround firm, but the lenders shot down a $25 million rescue plan. Now, even though the lenders recommended an orderly shutdown in December, leadership allegedly said no and kept the trucks rolling. And then, get this, just days later on December 29th, the company's founder allegedly transferred a $10.4 million company property to himself while the company was insolvent. The whole thing finally came crashing down in mid-January.
A collapse this big is never just one thing. It's always a cascade of failures. And based on court documents and what former employees are saying, it looks like there were 4 major cracks in this company's foundation. Each one just weakened the whole structure until it all just came tumbling down. Let's break them down.
First up, alleged bad bets. Sources claim costly acquisitions and buying new trucks during a freight recession basically burned through cash like crazy. Second, staggering debt. You've got that lawsuit from Huntington National Bank alleging the company was operating while insolvent with that $65 million in unpaid bills. Third, there was internal conflict. Former employees told Freightways about a toxic workplace where safety protocols were allegedly ignored just to keep cash coming in. And finally, the lenders just pulled out. Court filings show they saw no way forward, refused to pour in any more money, and basically pulled the plug.
So beyond all the financial documents and the corporate drama, there is a very real, very human cost here. This wasn't just some number on a balance sheet. It was the livelihood for thousands of people and a critical partner for hundreds of other businesses. And the scale of that impact is just immense. We are talking about over 1,000 people. You've got 500-plus employees and another 500-plus independent contractors who lost their income in an instant. Hundreds of other carriers were left holding unpaid invoices. Dozens of drivers were literally stranded on the side of the road. And the fallout didn't stop there. It even took down other businesses, like AGX Freight, which had to shut down because its own credit line got yanked due to the R&R mess. And if you really want to understand how devastating this was, just look at the lawsuits piling up from other small businesses. It paints a pretty grim picture. Vantage Carrier alleges it's owed over $1.3 million. Jimenez Logistics claims it's out almost $265 grand. For a small trucking company, a hit like that, well, that can be an extinction-level event. So this brings us to the big question, right? Could this have been avoided? Well, according to industry veterans, the warning signs were definitely there if you knew what to look for. So let's go over the key red flags that could help you from getting caught up in the next R&R-style collapse. Okay, here are 5 really clear warning signs. First, slow payments. If a broker's average days to pay starts to creep up, that is a major sign of cash flow problems. Second, communication just breaks down. All of a sudden, your contacts go dark when you ask about late payments. Third, you see their standards slipping. Maybe they start using high-risk carriers they wouldn't have touched before. Fourth, their credit scores start dropping on the load boards or on your factoring company's reports. And fifth, overexposure. If you find that one single broker is providing the vast majority of your freight, you are incredibly vulnerable. All right, so knowing the red flags is one thing, but you need a defensive strategy. So here is a simple checklist you can use before you ever haul a single load for a broker that you're not totally sure about. Think of this as your pre-flight check. First, always check their credit and payment history on your load board or with your factoring company. Next, pick up the phone. Call their bonding company and make sure that $75,000 bond is active and not getting drained by other claims. Then, look at the data. Check the trend charts for their payment times. Are they getting better or worse? And finally, probably the most important rule of all, diversify your customers. Please do not let one company's failure become your failure. At the end of the day, the collapse of R&R is a really painful but powerful lesson. In an industry with margins this tight and risks this high, doing your homework isn't just good business, it's survival. You have to protect your own operation because, trust me, no one else is going to do it for you.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. In an industry that is literally built on risk, where deals get done with a click and freight is moving at the speed of light, the story of R&R really forces us to ask ourselves, how much verification is truly enough?